The beauty of traveling to a race is that it carves out a rare space to sit with your thoughts, to slow down, lock in, and mentally prepare for battle. Because that's exactly what these races are, a mental war. Staying composed, staying calm, that's a skill forged only under pressure. Everyone can see the physical pain at mile 68. They see the fatigue, the suffering, the breakdown of the body, but they can't see the state of your mind. They can't comprehend the mental Mount Everest you willingly choose to climb. And that's exactly why I do it. I choose to do things that make me anxious. I choose to do things I once believed were impossible. I choose to push myself to the edge, and so quitting feels like the only option, because that's where the real work begins. That's where fear lives. And fear is nothing more than a limit we place on ourselves. But until we chase it, until we confront it head on, we'll never know how far we can truly go. That's how we unlock our full potential. All right, welcome back. Officially done with the race. We finished. It was definitely the hardest race I've ever done in my life, but I survived. And in this video, I'm gonna take you through the day before the race, the expo, getting there, and through race day. So when we arrived, got there on Friday night, just kind of got settled in, got a lay of the land, lined everything up, unpacked. And then the following morning, I got up early, started to cook my food, and just kind of get prepped up for that day. So we went over to the expo. It was about a half hour away from where we were staying. And immediately, you're just drilled with energy. There's so many people there, all the athletes, like you could feel the nerves, but you could feel the excitement. And there's so many people that have spent so many hours getting prepared for this race, and it's all kind of coming together. So the village was awesome. Everybody was super friendly. We got in, checked in, got our bike bag, wristband, all the gear. Then there was a first timers meeting. So at 10 o'clock, went over to this like outdoor auditorium area, and they basically just walked through what to expect today, which was the day before the race, and what to expect tomorrow, which was race day. So this is where things got really hectic and I got very overwhelmed, because I thought that we were dropping all of our stuff the following morning, and come to find out we were dropping everything out of transition 1 and transition 2 that day. So we had to go back to the hotel where we were staying and get 95% of the gear set up. Then we went back to the area, and there were 2 spots. There were 2 separate transition areas. So when you started to swim, you got out, there was a transition 1, which was where your bike was. So we had to go there and set up everything for that transition. And then transition 2, which was in a different location, we had to then go back over there and get everything set up. So this took way more time than we had planned. I really allotted for 2 to 3 hours all in all, and I think it ended up taking like 6 or 7 hours of the day. So I was feeling it, definitely feeling the stress and the fatigue from all the travel, but it worked out. It was fine. Went back in that night and ate my lunch and dinner kind of close together, but I didn't want to eat too close to bed. So I had my last meal at about 5 p.m. It was just pasta, ground turkey breast, and some electrolytes. Went to bed at about 7 o'clock, and I thought my sleep was going to be great because I fell asleep from 7 to 10 p.m. And I woke up at 10 and I stayed up tossing and turning with nerves until 2 in the morning. So I woke up the morning of the race and I was completely discombobulated. I was super nervous. I thought I was gonna get a better sleep and I didn't. So everything was kind of piling up, and nerves leads to me feeling sick, like nauseous and stuff. So it was hard for me to eat. It was hard for me to drink. And that's really important the morning of, is to get a good breakfast, get hydrated, things like that. So I was just kind of forcing down my food on what I could eat. I ate about half of what I usually ate for breakfast. So it wasn't great, but it was all I could really get down without feeling like I was gonna vomit. So left for the race, feeling super nervous. We gave ourselves plenty of time. Gave ourselves about 3 hours before the race started, and we got stuck in traffic. So we flew over there, 20 minutes to get over there, and then we sat in traffic for close to 2 hours before I could even get to the bus, which took you from the parking lot over to the start line in transition 1. So the morning started off crazy, and I had way less time than I thought I was going to. I had to get to the swim, get my wetsuit on, set up my last pieces of nutrition on the bike computer, pump up my tires, and all of this was happening so fast because, like I said, we were delayed 2 hours. So just like that, the race started. I got in line. I was supposed to be by the about 40 to 45 minute swim. And when I lined up in the corral, all I could really get to was about like the 50 to 55 minute swim, which is how long it takes you to do the swim. So the water was freezing. As soon as we got into the water, you felt it, your face, your hands, everything went numb. And this is where I made a mistake. I always tell you to not try anything new on race day, and I tried something new on race day and I paid for it. So I knew the water was going to be cold, and I had never swam with booties or things that cover your feet. And I did on race day, which kept my feet warm, but I didn't realize that they were going to fill with water, and it felt like I was swimming with weights in my feet. So that was awful. But I didn't really realize that until about halfway through the swim when my legs started to feel tired, because the first half of the swim was so hectic, I had no idea what was going on. And there are people everywhere. Left, right, up, down, it didn't matter. You were up against people, you're shoulder to shoulder, everybody's swimming and trying to basically fight for their life, it seemed like. And you have to stay calm and you have to move quick. So your heart rate elevates immediately, so you have to control your breathing. And so what I found was helpful is after about 100 meters, once I kind of created a little bit of groove, I turned over on my back for 5 or 10 seconds just to catch my breath. And then I turned over and started swimming hard. The swim just felt like it would never end. I felt like I was swimming forever, and I would gain a couple hundred yards. So the swim took me much longer than I thought, finished in about 58 minutes, got into transition area 1, which when you come out of the water and you're in that cold of water, your face is so numb that I was having a hard time talking. So it took me a second to like get my bearings and figure things out. And thankfully I had volunteers and they were directing you to where your transition bag was. But I got in there, got my wetsuit off, put everything on, helmet, bike, cleats, everything, got over my bike. And I was in one of the farthest spots away from the exit. So I ran with my bike probably 200 or 300 yards to get to where I could get on my bike and start riding. So the beginning of the bike was a little bit downhill and mostly flat. So I was able to pick up some speed, and I think I was riding at like 17 or 18 miles per hour, which is pretty fast for me. It was mostly out and back, so we were in the middle of kind of desert land, some farms, things like that, but it was mostly flat. I made a couple of stops, went to the bathroom, I fueled up really well. I was drinking 3 bottles during this whole 3-hour ride, basically. I was trying to do 1 an hour. I found because of how dry it was, I added an entire full bottle, so I ended up drinking 4 bottles of fluids during that ride. So once I got to about mile 40, I started to feel it in my legs. My legs started to feel a little heavy. Thankfully, I had my friends and family waiting for me several points throughout the ride, which was amazing. And on my bike computer, they were sending me texts so I could see when the next time I was going to see them, which mentally that helped me a lot. Segment the race down into smaller sections. And then on the last 10 miles of the bike, my stomach, I was starting to get a little bit of stomach GI issues, which is somewhat common on a race like this. You're eating a lot of quick carbs and carb drinks and goos and stuff, so that can sometimes hit you a little funny, but I felt good up until this point. And then I skipped one of my nutrition points, which I was supposed to have a gel, and my stomach just couldn't handle it. And that was where things started to get pretty hard. I started to fall a little bit behind in the nutrition. But what woke me up and kind of got me back on track was we got to ride through a car racetrack. And it was one of the coolest places I've ever rode. And we literally rode our bikes on the racetrack. So we were zigzagging through it. We did about 2 laps through there. And then once I got out of there, I think I had just a small section, maybe 8 miles left of the bike. Got into transition 2, which is where you drop the bike, you pick up your shoes, get my running vest on. And this is where I started to really hurt. And I trained a lot with running off the bike and my long runs on tired legs, but it just seemed like today it was feeling harder. And so I started the run, and really at mile 2, I started to struggle. I was walking intermittently. I had some really bad stomach issues where I had to stop at the porta potty at mile 2. And I got out of the porta potty and I looked around and I was like, I am done. I am going to quit. I am not doing this. It's hectic, it's hot, I'm sweaty, I got stomach aches, and all I could convince myself to keep going was just make it to the next rest stop, which on the run, it was through a golf course, rolling hills on the cart path, and there was a rest stop every mile. So when I got to mile 2 and I wanted to quit, all I convinced myself to do was make it to mile 3. That was it. And I had that conversation every single rest stop. So when I got to mile 3, I had to convince myself to go to mile 4. I'd never been in a situation like this before. And a great quote is, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. But it felt like I had been punched in my entire body. Everything hurt. I was trying to eat. Again, I had stomach issues. I was grabbing what I could. I think I grabbed a banana. At a couple of the aid stations, I started drinking Coca-Cola. I was just trying anything, because everything I had in my vest that I had prepared for, I didn't eat any of it. So the last 5 or 6 miles was a run walk for me. All I did was I'd run maybe a quarter mile, then I'd walk, I'd run, I'd walk. And I still thought about quitting the entire time until I got to mile 12. When I got to mile 12, all you can hear in this area is them announcing the finishers of people coming across the finish line ahead of you. So you're in this, like I said, golf course, and there's a mountain behind you that echoes. So them announcing at the finish line, you just hear an echo of this person finished, that person finished, and that gave me the energy to finish the race. So I ran the last mile and kind of zigzagged through. I ran through the finish line, and it was emotional. Like, I had no intentions of crying, which I was crying the last mile. I don't know why. It was just, I was so happy that I was able to get through this. It was such an emotional experience for me, because it was just this thought that I had months ago, 6, 7, 8 months ago, that I was going to do a half Ironman. I had never swam, rarely ran. I had some experience with biking, but putting all 3 together, and this idea that I was able to push through and do this race 70.3 miles was coming to a close, and it was such a sweet experience. Running through that finish line will live with me forever. I think about it all the time. It is such a great feeling running through that chute. They're announcing your name, you have your family and friends at the finish line, and you just feel that all of the quitting you wanted to do for the last however many hours it took you to do this race, you push through it. And it's a huge mental battle, and I love the fact that I was able to push through it. No matter how dark you get in your thoughts of like, I'm done, you just keep pushing, no matter how bad the physical pain is, no matter how bad the mental pain is. And then that reward of running through that finish line is all worth it. I definitely, right after the race, thought I would never do one of these again. That was my immediate thought. I'll never do one of these again. But since then, I have thought about it 23 of the 24 hours in a day. Like, it's all I think about right now, just to get back into training. I love it. I want to beat my current time that I had, which I was not very satisfied with, but I was super happy with finishing the race. But it gives me a goal. It gives me, something on the map that I can try and beat, which I'm confident that, knowing what I know now, I could do better in the future. Training for this thing didn't teach me anything new about pain or effort. I already knew about those. What it taught me was patience. Most days weren't dramatic, just quiet mornings, tired legs, and the decision to keep moving when stopping would have made much more sense. An Ironman doesn't care who you are or why you're here. It just asks if you're willing to respect the work. Crossing the finish line isn't a victory so much as a confirmation. You paid the price, and the receipt is written on your body. If you're looking for permission to take on something hard, you won't find it here. You just decide, and then you live with it. I really just want to take a second to thank everybody that supported me throughout this, all the people that came down with me, friends, family, Kevin and Rodolfo for filming and getting everything set up. It was awesome to have that experience and have that much level of support. We love making these videos. I love training. I love pushing myself to work hard. And we could not do this and enjoy our passions without your guys' support. All right, so we have a couple of races in mind for next year, nothing locked in yet. But if there's any races that you want to see us do, see me train for, see us film for, comment down below and we might end up doing it.